We're going to bring the committee to order. Go ahead and get started. You should have an agenda in front of you. If you do not, there is one agenda. There is also a subsequent agenda labeled number 2 as well that you should have a copy of, but we'll start with the first main agenda. Bear with us as we are still working the kinks out and not being downstairs where our offices are, so we're going through what we have. If we skip over something on accident, we'll come back to it, and at the very end we're going to take a recess just to make sure we got everything that we need to get the committee cleaned up, being a deadline day. So, all that said, at this point in time, I will recognize the gentleman from Itawamba to handle Senate Bill 2338.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senate Bill 2338 is a bill that we did a strike all on the Senate language, and just an act to provide that a city or a county may require a residential roofing contractor to keep a current mailing address on file. And that's an explanation of the bill. I'll be happy to answer any questions. 2338, Senate Bill 2338. If gentleman Tippin makes a motion, motion's title sufficient, do pass. All in favor say aye. Oh, as amended, strike all. All in favor say aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Motion to reconsider. Motion to table.
Go ahead. Okay, members of the committee, we're going to go ahead and skip the next couple of bills and go to Senate Bill 2552. Does everybody have a copy of it? Okay. 2552 is relatively simple. It changes the definition of a brew pub, and it allows for people to go to these brew pubs and for the brew pubs to actually manufacture beer, light wine, and have off-premises sales. So they can take it off-premises and sell it somewhere else, and that's pretty much an explanation of the bill. Okay? Motion is titled sufficient, do pass. All in favor say aye. Opposed nay. The ayes have it. Motion to table. Motion to reconsider. Motion to table. Thank you.
Thank you. I had to make a trip to the water jug. We are back online here with 2545, Senate Bill 2545. We do have a strike all, Council. Yes, this came from Tourism. Tourism adopted a strike all. We'll take up Tourism's bill. This is included the Senate language, which allowed, my understanding is there's a few wineries in the state, so it allowed some sampling at these wineries area. In addition, allowed some additional tasting at package stores. There's a bill that's actually a House bill. They put that House bill language in here, and that's part of the strike all. Any questions? Seeing none, move adoption of the strike all. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion to reconsider. I'm missing my gentleman. There's a motion to table. There we go. Next on the list is 2596. That represent. I would ask that the gentleman from Alcorn be recognized to handle it.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. 2596 comes to us at the request of DOR. In Judd B, we made a couple of changes. We changed a word may to shall. Basically, it's kind of bringing the law consistent with others and making it contemporary, really. Right now, if there is a retailer or someone who sells to a youth, they can lose their license on one violation. This gives it kind of, it's suspended for a week. For a second offense, it's suspended for 2 weeks. For a third, 3 weeks. For fourth, there's a 12-month revocation. It's how it does. So it's more of a stair-step type program is what that is. Also in Judd B, we put, which this committee passed and the House passed, we put in our youth vaping bill, which restricts youth from getting access to vapes and penalizes the retailers and the people who sell those as well. So, Mr. Chairman, that's an explanation of the strike-off.
Any questions? Seeing none? What's the motion?
Title sufficient do pass as amended strike-off.
Title sufficient do pass, strike all? Okay, as amended. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion, we're considering a motion to table. Next bill, 2764, recognize gentleman from Tipple.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senate Bill
Motion is title sufficient.
2764
Oh, pardon me, I'm sorry.
is actually a real
You're
good bill
recognized,
that
gentlemen.
we've gotten from the Senate. So very seldom do we get good bills from the Senate, but we have one before us today, brought to us by the new senator from Oxford that has family in Tippah County, by the way. What this bill does, any resident with a health condition or disability which limits or impairs their ability to effectively communicate with law enforcement, this would simply allow, not required, but allow them to obtain a sticker that would go on the tag of their vehicle and a sticker that would be placed on their front of their windshield to let law enforcement identify them that they do have some mental conditions that the law officers may want to be aware of. Mr. Chairman, that's a brief explanation of the bill. I'll entertain any questions. All right. My motion is title sufficient, do pass as amended, strike all.
Any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Nays, ayes have it. Motion to reconsider and a motion to table. The motion to reconsider. There he is. Okay. Moving on, 2099. This bill clarifies the law dealing with tag purchases and states that if you're not going to drive a car, in other words, there are people in the state that buy a car that sits in a showroom, sits in a garage. That's all it does. If you're not going to drive it on the roads, then you don't have to buy a tag. You can fill out an affidavit subject to penalty of perjury and certify that, and that's what this does, is clarifies that provision in the law. Any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. If you're not going to... Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion to reconsider and a motion to table. 2253. This is a qualified resort area. We have a strike all on this one, 2253. What we've done here is that we have taken the Senate Bill 2253, inserted the House position as a strike all that we adopted earlier this session. However, the only two changes is we added, there was an area up in Tippah County that the people up there were in favor, and also an area in Raymond that the representative there wanted. And so those two places were added, and that is a definition or an explanation of 2253 strike all. Any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Excuse me, I got ahead of myself. The motion is title sufficient do pass as amended, strike all. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion to reconsider and a motion to table. Senate Bill 2288 is our motor vehicle license tag bill. We're just, again, keeping a couple vehicles alive throughout the session. We also have a House bill that's in the Senate. Again, this is our tag bill. The strike all here simply adds a reverse repealer. That's an explanation. The motion is title sufficient do pass as amended, strike all. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion to reconsider and motion to table. Senate Bill 2290 is it's a bill that we did not have a House bill on this. This deals with homestead exemption, allows the tax assessor collector to collect some information and makes it easier, as I understand it, when a spouse passes away for the widow or widower in that situation to retain their homestead exemption. We make one change. Here, it required a Social Security number, we state, or other identifying information there in our strike all. Any questions? Motion is, you got a question, gentlemen?
Ford, it didn't kill me. Thank you. I just asked it from here. I'm doing it.
Turn your mic on.
Here. That's I got it. Thank you. Thank you. You know, I wanted to ask about the,
I think there's a button in front of you, gentlemen. You need to hit it.
it says MIC, is that what it says? It blue when it lights up?
Yes.
That's
You know,
it.
9 years ago when you came in here.
Well, I've had it on
first
for a
things
little
you know.
while. I just want to ask you about this, as far as this information, is there any way to protect that from people getting a hold of it through subpoena?
That's my understanding, gentlemen, is they're subject to other laws that involve public documents and public records as it relates to Social Security numbers and identifying
Yeah,
information.
I
I
was
think
just
they'd be
curious about
subject to the same laws.
I thought I'd ask a question since no one asked you a question so far.
Well, you're doing a good
Appreciate
job.
it. Thank
Yes, sir. Any other questions? Motion is title sufficient, do pass as amended, strike all. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion reconsider and a motion to table from the back. 2319, moving on along, is the knuckle boom fix. This is a cleanup bill from DOR. Essentially, there is a discrepancy in the law, and this is just a fix. The intention was that a knuckle boom, for those of you who don't know what a knuckle boom is, it's a piece of forestry log and equipment, was supposed to be taxed a certain way. The DOR has now taken an interpretation of that bill or of that law that would be adverse to the original intent, and so we're just clarifying the tax as it relates to that piece of equipment. That's an explanation. Any questions? Yes, sir.
They having a problem describing between a knuckle boom and a track hoe?
That was my understanding, is that there was some argument back and forth as to how that clarification existed, and this is going to fix it.
Okay.
Okay. Motion is title sufficient, do pass. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion reconsidered and motion table. Moving on, 2328. Would recognize Representative Morgan to handle the bill.
This is no stranger, emergency crop loan. It's been around since 1990 for sure, and really what happened, it hadn't been visited since 2011 as far as having a cap on it. Had a $200,000 cap on getting a loan for emergency crop. We're going to raise it to $250 due to the fact that everything, price of stuff has went up, farm equipment, building materials and everything else, and that's basically the gist of it in the drawer. But any questions? No questions, title sufficient, do pass.
That's it. Seeing no questions, the motion is title sufficient, do pass. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Motion to reconsider and a motion to table. Senate Bill 2362, you will recall that earlier in the session we had some bills that were more or less cleanup bills relating to the 2018 Road and Bridge special session. This is a similar bill, and so just to have multiple vehicles available for later on this session, we're going to move this bill along, put a reverse repealer in it. And that's an explanation of 2362. I believe this particular bill just allows for the cities to pledge the income that comes in, the funds, for a bond repayment. That's an explanation. Any questions? Seeing none, the motion is Title suspension do pass as amended. Strike all. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. There's a motion to reconsider and a motion to table. Moving on. Senate Bill 2365. This is just a cleanup bill. This comes from the Senate. We did not have this bill, but essentially there is a strange requirement that that the ad valorem tax receipts relating the tag credit state the year in which the legislature passed the bill, and so that's been done, if my memory is correct, even though I certainly was not here 25 plus years ago. So we're just removing the requirement that they place the year on that receipt. That's it. That's an explanation. Any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Motion to reconsider and a motion to table. All right, Senate Bill 2434 is this is a bill we did not have, also comes from the Senate. There's a strike all, so I'm going to explain the bill and also the strike all. This would create a study committee as it relates to the taxation of the construction industry. Basically just a study committee. There's several members on the study committee. There is one area, though, that I believe was underrepresented on the study committee, and that was the subcontractor, Mississippi Association of American Subcontractors. And so that particular industry needs a place on the study committee as well. And so the strike all simply adds that as having a spot on the committee. And that's an explanation. Any questions? Seeing none, the motion is title sufficient, do pass as amended, strike all. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Motion to reconsider and a motion to table. We've already done 2552, so we'll move on to 2583. This is another bill. You recall the House earlier in the session had one or two bills where relating back to the 2018 infrastructure special session, there were one or two projects in cities, municipalities that needed some cleanup language that were specific to their place. This particular bill deals with the town of Guntown. I think we had one maybe in the town of Bruce or Calhoun City on the House side. And so all this does is just keep a vehicle alive. So we'll have that availability down the road to add what needs to be in there. And so we're bringing this forward, but we're placing a reverse repealer in there so it'll maintain its place on the calendar. Again, 2583, and just adds a reverse repealer. Any questions? Seeing none, the motion is title sufficient, do pass as amended, strike all. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion to reconsider and a motion to table. Senate Bill 2807. We're going to skip 2600. That's a bill we passed, and the Senate's taken up our bill. At least they've given us their word that they are. 2807. This bill deals with essentially the ABC, alcohol beverage control, when it creates a study committee for us. You recall that I brought before this body several bills relating to potential changes of the ABC with everything that has gone on this year since we took these bills up in February. What we probably need to do, instead of enacting major sweeping changes at this time, is put a committee together, study this issue so that we can come back before this body, hopefully next year, certainly within the next couple years, and present to you the best plan forward for our ABC system. So this bill would create a study committee, and the strike off simply adds a reverse repealer in it just to give us a little more time to look at it. Yes, sir.
Could there be any consideration perhaps given in perhaps more drastic change in our state's liquor warehouse system? Like Tennessee has no liquor warehouse, and they have what you call a free market system, and others do too. Maybe some looking into that in the future. Is that at least a possibility of them exploring?
Any other questions? Seeing none, the motion is title sufficient do pass as amended, strike all. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. There's a motion to reconsider and a motion to table. Okay, 2847, this is dealing with similar to the bill that we passed earlier in the session relating to the tourism incentive projects. This is, the purpose of the bill is to extend the program. This particular bill has a strike all. It extends the authority relating to these programs. The strike all, the bill that came over from the Senate, though, did not include the House language. So this returns the House language that we have. There was one typo in the strike all, the council, and essentially what that is that inserts the Senate language as it relates to the deadline, as well as makes it subject to effective July 1 as opposed to after passage. That's an explanation. Any questions? Seeing none, the motion is title sufficient do pass as amended, strike all. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. There's a motion to reconsider and a motion to table. Senate Bill 2881 is a Mississippi prepaid affordable college tuition program revising the investment plan. This is a Senate bill, comes over from the Senate Chairman of Finance, and essentially just aligns the college. This is Max and Impact, aligns those investment plans with recent changes that were made with PERS. That's an explanation of the bill. Any questions? Seeing none, the motion is title sufficient do pass. That's the motion. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Motion to reconsider and a motion to table. At this point in time, ladies and gentlemen, we will move over to the second agenda. Beginning with Senate Bill 2333. This is a DOR bill that I don't recall that we had in the House. Essentially, this bill, hold on one second. Allows the Department of Revenue, they were losing money on the shipping of alcohol beverages, so this allows them to charge a fee to go into a fund to cover the cost of DOR related to the shipment of alcohol. That's an explanation of the bill. You've got a reverse repealer. And we added a reverse repealer in there. I tell you what, we're going to send it on. Okay. We're not going to put the reverse repealer in that one. We're going to send it on. 2333. Again, that's an explanation of the bill. Any questions? All those in favor of the motion, which is title sufficient, do pass, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion to reconsider and a motion to table. Senate Bill 2340 is the Senate's version of the historic tax credit bill. Their language is a little bit different than ours. I believe our language is better, and so that's what we're going to fight for. So I would at this time also do a strike all on this bill to replace a reverse repealer in there. And so 2340, the change would be simply putting a reverse repealer in there to keep this vehicle alive by strike all. Any questions? Seeing none, the motion is title sufficient do pass as amended, strike all. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion to reconsider and this motion to table. Okay, the next bill, 2546. Do I see Representative Zuber anywhere? Is he in the chamber? Recognize Representative Zuber to handle 2546.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen of the committee. Senate Bill 2546 is relatively simple. Right now, we allow for for an income tax refund to be deposited into one account. This will allow two accounts, such as a checking and a savings, to help that person establish credit and eventually get a credit card, and just help the typical citizen with their credit reporting history. That's an explanation of the bill. Motion, title sufficient, do pass.
Okay. Motion is title sufficient, do pass. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion to reconsider, motion table. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of our calendar at this point in time, but I'm not going to entertain a motion to rise and report. Instead, I will entertain a motion for recess subject to call, and we're going to do this just to make sure there's nothing else hanging out there being a deadline day. So moved. Motion is recess subject to call. are required to now rise and report because he needs the room. So moved.
I didn't know I had that much clout. You got a lot of clout. Damn, I didn't know I had that much clout. Attention, I'd like to bring the House Appropriations Committee to order. At this time, I'd like to recognize the gentlelady from Lincoln to explain Senate Bill 2838.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This bill is to create the Mississippi Tourism Reorganization Act. Tourism brings in about $7 billion a year, and it's in MDA, and the money we send them for tourism usually gets lost, so we wanted to create their own agency. They will have a board of 7 members. 4 will be appointed by the governor and 3 by the lieutenant governor. There will also be an advisory board of members that will not get paid. There will be members of the Mississippi Tourism Association, composed of and geographically and ethnically diverse members from 5 areas. The Hills, the Delta, the Capitol River, the Pines, and the coastal region, and 1 member that will be from the state parks. And there will be 3 at-large members that will be chosen by the Speaker of the House. This committee is going to responsible for promotion, development, support services for the tourism industry within the state. They will report to the legislature. And I think, first of all, I need to do the amendments that we did in tourism. I'm sorry, so I'm going to go backwards just a minute. And I left my piece of paper in the back, but I think I can do them by memory. On line 163 of the bill, in carrying out his duties under the act, we change it to carry out his or her duties. And we, on line 233, we did add the representative from the state parks, and that the Speaker will choose these members. And also we have a reverse repealer in the bill that this act shall take effect and be enforced from June 29th and be repealed on June 30th, 2020. So I do need a motion for those amendments that we did in tourism. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? And that's my explanation of the bill. Is there any questions? Title sufficient do pass as amended. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. With delay to yield.
Yes.
Okay, now, what exactly are we doing with this piece of legislation? Tourism exists right now, right?
It does, but it's inside MDA. So what we want to do is...
We're creating a
standalone agency because we can't seem to get anything done through MDA.
All right, and that's your recommendation, ma'am?
I'm sorry.
That's your recommendation, ma'am?
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Will you yield, lady?
Yes.
Was there a House companion bill of this?
No.
There was not a House
No.
companion bill? Okay, I was just thinking we have one. Thank you.
Thank you. Title sufficient do pass as amended. All in favor? Aye. Oppose? Thank you.
Recommend appropriation rise and report.
Senator Polk moves the Senate.
We're adjourned till 10 a.m. tomorrow.
Senator Polk moves the Senate stand in recess to 5 p.m. until the last committee report is filed today, or at the time the journal will reflect the Senate stands adjourned until 10 a.m. Wednesday. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
In carrying
Will you yield, lady?
Yes.
Was there a House companion bill of this?
No.